And welcome, Star Wars fans, to Duel of the Ranks, a show would take so hot that they'd melt a planet with twin suns. My name's Brody, and I am joined by my co-hosts Christian and Amanda as we attempt to discover what story is truly the best from a galaxy far, far away. Today, we are going to be discussing Rebels Season 3. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the good. By the end of this episode, we'll have a definitive answer for where this piece of content ranks amongst the rest. I feel like every time we record one of these podcasts, it starts with, "We're back!" We're
Bet you
like
thought you saw The Last of Us.
yeah, you thought we were done. Maybe we did too, but we're not. We're still back. I think we're gonna be. Someone queue up Return of the Mac. Get that going, Braden. We're not done yet. Okay, we're coming back to our former selves, and I think you'll see a little bit more of us in the near future. But wow, what a piece of content to talk about on this annual episode of
on this historic day. I'm like, oh, what day is it?
on this August 19th. We're discussing season 3 Rebels. I mean, wow. There is a lot to talk about here, y'all. I mean, there's some lowlights, but certainly a lot of highlights. I mean, Thrawn, Bendu, Mandalorians, Darksaber, Ralph, Ralph McQuarrie, C-3PO, murder robot. I mean, wow. Let's talk about it. I don't know anyone that likes this show as much as you, Amanda. So take me through. What were you thinking when you watched this?
Yeah, so obviously we've been on a little bit of a hiatus, and the last time we watched Rebels was a bit ago. And having another excuse to rewatch season 3, I was worried that maybe it would change my opinion about it, which is fine. I'm willing to admit when my opinion changes over time. I think we need more people to feel that same way. But spoiler alert, I still love it. This is still my favorite Star Wars content across the board. I love that. I know that there's only one more season left. It's like short and sweet. There are 22 episodes in a season, and that can sometimes require some filler episodes, which I'm sure we'll agree on a couple of those here. But overall, what I love about Rebels is the continued character arcs that we see for each person of the Rogue Squadron and Phoenix Squadron, wrong one. We start off the season with Ezra sort of in his like moody post assigning an apprenticeship with Maul, and there's some tension between Ezra and Kanan and the crew because he kind of went this one direction, and Kanan is now suffering from being blinded. So a lot of characters are in this flux space. Sabine wants to help her family and doesn't know how to. And by the end of the season, we see just a lot of character growth, and that is always going to be my favorite part of the show.
Definitely. Yeah, it was, opening up. Ezra's got a new haircut. He's got the scar from the Inquisitor. And then this season, just overall, watching it again did make me grateful for this kind of Star Wars content where it punches out so much lore, and especially with Thrawn. I'm sure we'll get into Thrawn.
Who?
But it was fun. It's a fun show to watch and revisit, and it moves along a lot of like the overall Star Wars narrative. Like, it's pretty impactful, especially with Ezra's dynamic with Maul, and then now with Sabine learning and kind of shadowing like Ezra did, but with her own flavor and take. I liked how it was, different to her and showing that struggle, reconciling with her family. But it was, Rebel Season 3 is a solid entry into like the Star Wars universe, where it's like really giving you a bang for your buck on lore, action, and moving along, raising some stakes. There are some really cool things to praise with it, and like you said, there are a lot of episodes too. Unfortunately, that kind of lowers the score with filler episodes.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of cool things about this series.
When I was keeping track of how many episodes we would count as filler, shout out Luke who says those don't exist. I only counted a few, maybe 4 or
I think,
5,
yeah,
just
I
a
was thinking like
handful.
3.
There was the droid switching sides with Chopper. There was the punk kids who were dumping out trash. But even some of the filler episodes, so what we would normally constitute as filler, I would argue did so much for advancing the story. And I would say, while there are shortcomings, this show, in my opinion, was the best show we've ever reviewed in terms of, for the most part, taking episodes that we would constitute as not really necessary and saying, you're really missing out on this character's arc if you don't see it. A great example being when we go to Hera's home and she pretends to be just an innocent civilian who's there just maybe stealing this Calicori for some food, to sell it for some food. And Thrawn knows a mile away. And you see this time and time again that, yes, he's a strategist, but that was the episode where we realize he has a deep respect for his opponent, the art, the culture, who they are, nearly assaulting an officer of the Empire when he dismisses and says, it's basically just trash. And he loses it. You see there is a very deep respect there, and it just makes Thrawn so much deeper. And if you don't watch that episode, you see, okay, yes, he's a strategist, but there's something, yes, he's very cold, he's very caring, but it's almost like this very sick, like, if you're in like a lab rat to him and he's observing but cares for you, you're like a pet. It's this very weird level of empathy he has, and it gives you insight into who he is as a person. And most filler episodes, let's go back to Book of Boba Fett when he introduces Mando, it doesn't at all move the Book of Boba Fett forward, any of those episodes.
Yeah.
It moved Mando's story along, but not his. And so Rebels, for the most part, I mean, I can't say that for any of the Clone Wars seasons we've seen thus far. Even Rebels, it's just almost pound for pound. You really got to watch every episode to really fully grasp who each character is and the importance they have in the overall story. So, yeah, I mean, incredibly well done season in terms of character development for sure.
I'm glad you talked about Thrawn, because this is the first appearance that Thrawn makes outside of the books, which is first of all, just a cool thing that Star Wars greenlit to bring to our screens. And also, you have to remember that this was on Disney XD, which I was not part of the audience that participated in Disney XD. I was definitely too old for that at the time. But to take a chance on a platform like that did end up being canceled and dying as a platform, but still producing one of the best Star Wars series out there is just, it seems like it shouldn't have been possible. But Thrawn is such a menace, and I'm so glad that we got him as a villain in the second half of this series instead of sort of the same old Darth Vader or Palpatine. We do get Maul back, but we have Maul back to finish his story, and it's not like a crutch that they're trying to keep pulling your leg to keep you watching all the way through. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I could talk, Thrawn was the highlight for me in this season and the series overall. I think definitely there's stuff to appreciate with obviously the main hero characters, but when they did bring him for season 3, that's when I really first started to take the show a bit more seriously. Oh wow, they're really bringing in the heavy guns for this show. Maybe we should start taking the show a little bit more seriously. But it was also refreshing because it's not dumb, goofy Inquisitor stuff anymore. It's a real villain with real complexity and characters, driven stuff, and also very done very well, paying homage and honoring the EU, the expanded universe, the Thrawn trilogy books, having read those and then seeing them on screen it made me that much more excited to see Thrawn anytime, or like, oh, when's he gonna come back? Because they were doing it right, and it wasn't like, oh, they're ruining this character. I thought they just did him well as that strategist, giving that that edge, that anticipation of the unexpected, and giving him big moments like a showdown kind of with the Bendu, and like he's this tyrant in the storm, and Thrawn's like, shoot it, like get down to the middle, and like I would have kind of laughed at any other character saying that other than Thrawn, but because it was Thrawn, it was like, yeah, Bendu's a good match for Thrawn, and like then he comes and like point blank shoots him. It's like that's exactly what I would want of Thrawn. I would argue Thrawn should have killed people in this series, like more, or like killed like a main character or two, and that would have gotten the point across more. But no, Thrawn was definitely a highlight, and I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that like overshadows other characters in this show, or was it an
Well,
overall great thing to do?
well, first question, it's Lars Mikkelsen who voices him, correct?
Mhm.
First off, Lars, hats off to you. I mean, you unbelievably crushed this role. First ASMR villain I've ever heard. Very soft spoken, but there was so much there's layers and complexity, and you were making me think just now when he speaks, as I just said, layers, complexity. Yes, you hear dialogue, but he commands your respect.
Yeah.
And saying shoot that down, part of that is just the voice acting. So really, again, want to call
Mhm.
that out there. But also, there's so many things that just little lines, like when he has that showdown with Agent Callus and says, your fighting's great, but it's a bit predictable because it's limited because of your experience with the Empire. Like, well, where is this guy from? And he says things that make you just want to learn more about him. And I do put him as the second best Star Wars villain behind only Vader for myself for that reason. Because you listen, you're like, just like with Darth Vader, like, I want to know more. I gotta
Mhm.
know more. Who is this guy, and what's his experience? And he says "Roch" when he talks to the whatever those droids are. Like, well, what is that? Like, what did he just say? Other people, you could write it off and not care, but you really, really care about everything that's coming out of his mouth, and he commands the screen. And it's tough with what we could call a kids show to throw in a lot of deep strategy, deep with dialogue, but he still does it in a way that kids get what's going on. He says, "Hey, we noticed that a lot of the tech here falls apart. Why don't you jump on that bike?" And like he's like, "Oh, I don't know." He's like, "No, I know, get on there." He sets the point across. Yes, you could have had more deaths, but everything he did do is so calculated, including letting at times the rebels get a win. You're like, wow. It was a masterclass at making sure, again, with the character development, making sure, even though it's a kids show, it's just complex enough to intrigue adults, but kids still got what was going on too. And that's tough for a character like Thrawn to, I feel like, appease just a very wide audience. So they just crushed it with him overall.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that he kind of lets the rebels go at different times. And I think that's sort of him doing that is kind of anti-plot armor, which I think Star Wars needs a little bit more of. And I think they did a great job of like, he had a strategy behind why he was pursuing or not pursuing certain things. And that made it more sinister to be like, whoa, he is kind of like two steps ahead of them.
Oh yeah, at all times. I mean, like two, it feels like 10 at points.
Yeah.
I mean, him knowing he's like, hey, we know it's Agent Callus. All right, this other guy, it wasn't him. There's no way, but we're gonna use that.
Yeah, he's gonna use it for his benefit. Let them reveal their location.
Mhm.
Great, I'll take that information.
And once that's done, then we're coming after you. Let's also talk for a second just about because we know the character scores sky high, probably the best. Another sky high category is probably the immersive universe. Going back to Ralph McQuarrie's original concepts for C3PO and making it a murder droid, but
Mhm.
there were so many call outs to other shows, other seasons. If you've seen Clone Wars, the thing that was kind of the thing that actually stuck out the most to me was Maul having a little shrine dedicated to Duchess Satine. And I was like, I don't know what this is or what its purpose to do, but it's just dark
Yeah.
and
Ezra's
sick.
like, what is all this junk? He's like, it's not junk.
Yeah.
It's my special stuff.
It's my special thing. He's got a helmet for the man. Like, Mandalore is a special spot there. But you're like, man, he just, yeah, he's got this little weird area and some creepy witches. And I don't know. That was I felt like that was a pretty dark episode overall, but lots of lore. Was there a specific moment or thing that you saw this season that you're like, wow, it's really cool they called back to this, whether it's Geonosians, battle droids, you name it. You got one?
I do. Maybe the obvious one was like Thrawn. That was what I was most excited about with pulling into lore. But then the Darksaber. I mean, that they really, I think for the first time, really extrapolated on the history of the Darksaber and Tar Vizsla and the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
Like the Mandalorian lore was also showcased really well in like a good deep dive, I would say. I think anyone who is like trying to nerd out quick on Star Wars and is like, all right, Mandalore stuff. What do I watch? Undoubtedly, that episode, those couple of
Mhm.
episodes are going to be in that
Yeah.
lineup. So that was like another big one, an obvious one, like Darksaber. That was what I was thinking of. What about you, Amanda?
I really liked, I mean, among many other episodes, but bringing Mon Mothma in to have like real screen time and Genevieve O'Reilly reprising
Yes.
her role, especially since this came out before Andor and maybe before Rogue One. I can't quite remember, but they were kind of ahead of the curve. They were on the Mon Mothma Stan train before it got really popular. And I like how this show, has highlighted the lore of different, of all those different mentions in like little movies that don't actually get the screen time. Without, you don't feel like you miss out. It just like makes the immersive universe stronger,
Totally. And I love that you called out the Genevieve O'Reilly. It's something I Googled when she was speaking. Like, wow, this voice actor, it's awfully close to what we see in Andor. And I looked it up because I was curious and I totally forgot. She was Mon Mothma in episode 3
Oh yeah.
as well. So going back to 05. So she
Right.
goes, which is nuts that they've been able to keep her and she really does perfectly.
She doesn't age
into that role,
either.
like just like fine wine, just
Mhm.
crushes Mon Mothma that role. But I think Rogue One and this season were released within a year or two of each other, so like they
Pretty right in there because like the
Yeah.
Death Troopers were all the craze at the time, and then you saw Death Troopers with Thrawn and stuff.
Yeah, so it was around. I think Rogue One was first, but they definitely had her on contract for a few things and were able to use her for this, and we're obviously really glad that she did it because it was a neat added thing. I also looked up one thing that did hurt the immersive universe score for me though was she has that speech. They're watching her go at the Emperor. I don't think we just watched Andor not too long ago. I don't think this is what she said, and no, it was a different speech. It wasn't one-to-one with. So there's a continuity error. It's a minor one, actually. It's a minor one, but it is. And I also wondered, well, did they even pick her up? Did the ghost? Is that who was it? And they did say there's like a gray area where, hey, Andor gets her off Coruscant, but there is that handoff, and the ghost ends up helping get her somewhere else. So it is overall, it is still neat to see this show play into Andor. And I guess Andor plays into that, but they're building this universe. Like, wow, like here's this really dark side of the rebellion we see in Andor with Luthen and all that, but here's this other side, and it's neat to see these two things kind of converge. So overall, the immersive universe for me was just sky high.
I also really like how we get a couple of different episodes where we see the inside of like Imperial facilities, whether like Sabine and Ezra both infiltrate and pose as different Imperial workers or trainees. And I always like kind of seeing, what's behind the curtain and learning more about how people it's easy to be like, well, I just wouldn't join the Empire, obviously, but that's not the case. So it lays that out pretty well too.
We have Wedge this season, right? There's a lot of
Yeah.
people, Wedge Antilles, and we know him as a hero, but we don't know why. As you just to your point, we don't know why people are a part of the Empire, and some people just didn't flat out have a choice. And so, are they really evil at heart, or is it just a grunt? And so it's, yeah, and you see that complexity even with Agent Callus. Again, I'm blanking on his name every time, but when presented with the reality of, I think it was the last season, with is Zeb good or bad, you spend a day with him, like, oh, actually, I'm willing to change my entire life because I spent one day with this guy. So for a lot of them, they probably were, to Thrawn's point, born and raised in this Imperial environment, and that's all they know. So good, bad, I don't know, but they're just they're there. A lot of these folks and forces.
Yeah, the show put some nuance to that bit,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that nuance. I liked that Through Imperial's Eyes episode, like that perspective from Callus and getting his, dancing around Thrawn, dancing with the other, officers, trying to, avoid persecution there. But the other thing, I don't know what you said, made me think of it with parts of lore, but parts of just a great callback to Clone Wars when Rex and that tactical droid and like this teaming up and figuring there was a cool, even though it might not have been like terribly consequential of an episode, it was still, I like that lightheartedness, or when it brings back that Clone Wars theme, or
that was cool.
That was cool.
That is one of the lower scores for me, though.
Yeah.
Overall, is the music. It's not that it's bad. It's now we're starting to drop off. Characters in an immersive universe. Those are the two things you're going to get out of Rebels. Music's okay, and not to the fault of its own.
I think it serviced the show
well.
Serviced
the show well.
It doesn't steal the spotlight. I do love bits of like Thrawn's theme, the organ, and then bits of like Sabine's theme. But for the most part, I was kind of ranking the music like a 3 out of 5 because it's servicing the show. It's hidden in there.
Nothing overly impactful. Same thing with the lowest score I do have is the technical aspects. Again, not to a fault of its own. The budget probably isn't sky high, but we have to be fair amongst all Star Wars content, and this isn't the best animated content you're ever going to see. So I think a lot of that for me was about like a 2.7 to 3.3 in that range. It's okay. Even for its time, it's okay. But not to its own fault. People just didn't catch on to the fact that, oh, people really like these animated shows. Like this had to happen for us to get a Maul Shadow Lord. But still have to rank it fairly. I don't know. Amanda, what would you rank as your lowest category, you think?
I don't know. I ranked them all pretty high. I feel like
I see that.
I think there's a couple times in the stories where I gave it a little bit lower if it felt like it wasn't, even though like the characters in the immersive universe can carry an episode for me, if the story feels like it's a really repetitive trope that we're getting like time and time again, I'll knock a couple points off of like, okay, yeah, it's an extraction story. Okay, we get it,
Right. Well, overall, we did rate this show at a 72.82%, which we'll have to get it after this episode. We'll have it when we do our final season 4 Rebels ranking. But once we culminate and do all the averages. But right now, if we were just looking at this season alone, it's only behind Ahsoka, The Mandalorian, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. So
that's not bad.
No, I mean we still Maul Shadow Lord. I actually think is a little higher than that too. But besides that, like I said, next episode we'll have all those numbers finalized. Th- we know this in terms of a single season. This is up there with the best of the best in terms of animated shows, which is saying a lot to compete with Maul Shadow Lord that has beautiful animation,
Yeah.
which makes sense now. And the other thing we have to consider is Maul Shadow Lord. We're at a point now where like, I don't know, 8 episodes, 9 episodes,
Yeah.
that's a season. 22 episodes to compete with new content with a better budget, and some of them have longer run times. I mean, wow. I mean, I
Yeah.
would say for that reason alone, I would count this, even if it's lower than Maul Shadow Lord. I mean, this, in my opinion, is the best animated season of Star Wars content we've seen yet.
Yeah, I would say I think it's aging and will age better than Maul Shadow Lord. Like it's more, I think, impactful or influential. It's more memorable as
Mhm.
a season. Maul Shadow Lord was great, but I think the impact of Rebels season 3,
Mhm.
focusing on the characters and focusing on so much lore, I think it's just, to what you guys were saying, it all around kind of hits a bigger audience than Maul Shadow Lord did.
And
Yeah.
you're getting larger character arcs, of course, because you
Yeah.
have so many more episodes to build over. I also did want to take a moment to call out our best episode that we all kind of agreed on, which was episode 15, the Trials of the Dark Saber.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
why did you guys love that one so much? Like, you were way higher than I do.
I love that one. It's so emotionally charged. It's a lot. It's definitely the heavy lifting of the characters and immersive universe. Kanan struggling to want to change his teaching style because Ezra has been kind of combatant or kind of going off on his own path, and Kanan not being confident about teaching Sabine, and Sabine not sure if she wants to learn. Like there's just a lot of internal turmoil between these characters, and the stakes and the importance of what the dark saber and wielding it entails is really felt throughout this episode. We do go back to Mandalore, but I feel like if you didn't have all of this episode sort of drawing out the emotions that are behind, also how like the dark saber feels lighter, like the when your emotions are lighter and heavier when you're held down by things, like all of that's really intense. And I think that just is definitely one of like the top 5 Rebels episodes, period.
Which is interesting because then you think back to Mandalorian, who doesn't say a lot of words, but he can hardly lift the dark saber.
Mhm.
So talk about someone who's seems even keeled, but behind the scenes, behind the mask, Mando's
Got a
going
lot of
through
baggage. Yeah.
Fighting that flow.
Uh-huh.
He's not letting it flow
He's
with him.
he's not letting it flow. He's not letting it flow. No, I hear it, and you obviously rated it pretty high. Do you have any other thoughts on that episode?
No, I think Amanda summed it up pretty well. Just hitting all those things within a matter of 20 some minutes is pretty good to convey all that in a teacher, seeing a flawed teacher. Because
Mhm.
we're always looking at, the flawed Padawan and seeing how the Padawan grows. But now focusing on a teacher and a flawed teacher and how Hera kind of set Kanan straight, or like just always corrects him. And yeah, the mechanics of the dark saber,
Yeah.
stuff. You said
And
it. You said it all.
we also don't really see any of the women in the show wielding like lightsabers, or I mean, Sabine has her blaster, but there is a little bit of like the boy versus girl trope of like, oh, it's easy for Kanan to be able to teach Ezra because like he's just a guy, and all of the like emotional family weight of being like the daughter of this legacy that really
Yeah.
just hit home. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're spot on there. I didn't have this episode rated as highly as you both did. I still had it like at a 72%, whereas you both were like 90. So a 94 for Amanda. So near perfect. Uh, there were areas for improvement for sure, but I really did love, to your point, the animated Tar Vizsla scene. I thought that was really great, and being able to show that history more than just talk about it was cool via some shadows and some neat animations there. They do a lot of really cool creative things like that in this show. One thing before we wrap on just their overall review for the season, and I want to make sure we call out, is Obi-Wan versus Maul. We get old Ben Kenobi,
Mhm.
and I love the dialogue's very limited. But with the very, very, very small amount of words, and sometimes no words used at all, so much is said, and it weighs so much. And I love that it doesn't feel corny. Maul says something to the effect of, like, "You're a rat in the desert. Look what's become of you." He responds back like, "Well, look what I've risen above." And
Mm.
okay, like that's cool. But then my favorite part, and someone had to call this out for me. I didn't see this myself. I'd love to pat my own back here, but Maul gets back into his original fighting stance. He's ready to take on Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan gets into his stance that we saw in episode 3. He gets the 2 fingers out like, "I'm going to poke your eyes." And he gets his lightsaber pointed at him. And then he switches and he goes back into his pose from A New Hope, showing that evolution. And it kind of helps correct that, well, they were so awesome in the prequels. Why do they get boring and suck in the the OG movies?
Mhm.
But just showcasing, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to let you come to me. We're not going to do this long song and dance. And how much he's grown. I mean, you show I think it's the same couple of episodes. You see Satine, you think of that Obi-Wan versus this one. Wow. So cool, and how much he's just evolved as a character. And if you watch the Obi-Wan show, it helped contribute to that. But if there was a way to kill off Maul, I mean, it's unfortunate. I think that it was in an animated show, but I think that was truly the best way to end an iconic character. Our producer hasn't seen the show and loves Star Wars, and he's like, "What the heck, guys? You've had years to watch it. You grew up with it, Braden. I'm sorry." But wow, what a way to end Darth Maul. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I agree. That whole episode is really it felt like it was building up even from like the season opening with the holocrons and trying to figure out how to end the Sith. They're both searching for two different answers, but they're both seeing the same thing, which is the twin sons of Tatooine. And it's crazy to see how the through line brings them both together. Um, and also in his dying breaths, he's like, "I want you to avenge us." And that brings
Yeah.
them together at the end. And that's also just like really beautiful.
This might be part of my hot take.
Oh, let's save it. Save it. Save it. I think with that, we should before we go into hot takes, one last thing I want to say. The worst episode, we won't spend too much time here. There's not a lot of bad content. Episode, let's see, 19, Double Agent Droid at a 56.13%. Gotta say, we didn't have many low scores this season. So if you're thinking about watching Rebels and you were like me, you're watching the first season, like, this isn't that great, stick around. The heat
Yes.
turns up, and it is a fantastic season. But with that, I think it's time for hot takes. Let's get it.
Don't be too proud of this podcast you've constructed. The ability to rank content is insignificant next to the power of an exceptional hot take.
All right, it is hot takes time. Christian, you said you got one. Let's hear it.
Yes, let me know what you think. The episode, the twin sons, Maul dies, right? I don't know, maybe I'm just dull, but it really kind of irked me. That's how they killed him, and it felt very anticlimactic to me. So my hot take is I think that episode is way overhyped.
I
And that
so-
duel is like way overhyped, and it's just such a letdown.
Oh, okay. Well, we both of us just gave it our arguments for why it's good, so I don't think we're gonna clap back.
It's like, yeah, sure, we can pick apart the little dual stance and blah, blah, blah. But then it's like, all right, action, go. And it's like less than 5 seconds of action. And it was just like very
Aw.
anticlimactic.
You want more pew pew?
I do want more pew pew. And it was like, is this really how we're gonna kill off Maul? Like, is this really? Oh, and we're gonna pretend that now they're best friends at the end of it all after all this animosity. It's like, no, don't gaslight me into that thinking that they're good friends at the end. Like, no, that's totally fine for them to remain not friends at the end for Maul. And it was just, yeah, I think it's just way overhyped, and I think people love to like dissect the little stance, and everything. And it's like, sure, man, if that gets your goat.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, it does. And in the chat here to Jeffrey Miller, welcome back. Yeah, indeed, we're glad to be back. And
Thank you, Jeffrey.
KG, and when you inevitably, hopefully, see this, if you're still with us, then yeah, hope you're doing well too. And to all the other folks we haven't talked to in years,
Yeah.
hope y'all are all doing well and better than Christian. He's not mentally well. He's got some takes that are. He's not well. Yeah, you're wrong. You're just wrong. It did so much for the story. Christian, I'm sitting next to you. I don't believe in arguing in anger, so I'm gonna let Amanda take this response first before I say anything.
My feathers are ruffled, so it is a hot take. I hear what you're saying, but I don't agree with it. And that's okay.
That's okay.
All right, let's just play the bad takes. Yeah.
I got a bad feeling about this hot take.
All right. Well, here's my Ezra. I'm not saying his voice actor is a bad actor. I'm sure he's a talented actor in his own right. But he comes across as nails on a chalkboard as that character for me. I just think Ezra, he's so whiny. Everything's so extreme. It's like he's on speed all the time. And I'm just like, can someone just chill this guy out? Like, introduce him to some Zen time, something. But he's a lot. He pesters Zeb a lot this time. He feels constantly like the annoying little brother. And I'm just tired of him at this point. And then you see him in Ahsoka, which we've already reviewed, so no spoilers here, but he's annoying there too. And I just don't like Ezra. All right, that's what I'm getting at. Ezra is annoying. He's the annoying little brother of Star Wars that never grows up. That's my take. He belongs with Peter
Ouch.
Pan, not Star Wars. Get him with the Lost Boys.
Well, he is a kid. He is a little kid, and that's why he behaves like a kid. Is my argument. Though I hear you on like, I don't like any type of actor that's like, well, when like, how they have to like stutter to like say their line to like be that sort of character. And he does that a lot. And I can hear that type of critique, but I disagree. I love Ezra. He's my little brother, and I'm going to punch you if you say anything bad about him.
He's not. Yeah, he is an annoying little brother for sure. Christian, but it's a hot take though. You say it's a hot take.
It's a hot take.
Right.
Yeah, I guess my feathers weren't ruffled, and I thought that was maybe the point of what they try to come across. I think I attribute it as good directing. Like, I think they directed him, wanted him that boyish, annoying, and he does it well. So I don't know. I think it achieved its purpose.
So you think this is milquetoast?
Because it got through to you. Yeah.
All right. Well, then the producer, Braden, you can pick the soundbite. You're the tiebreaker.
You fool! Your take is milk toast.
Well,
Okay.
you know what I think is encouraging? That just tells me everyone else thinks he's annoying too. That's all I got out of that.
There you go.
That's all. As long as we all agree here, that's fine.
Validation.
That's fine. Yeah, Amanda, what's your hot take?
So in the episode where they go to Geonosis, and they find that Geonosian guy there, he doesn't speak basic, and Ezra calls him Click Clack, and I'm pretty sure that's racist. So my hot take is that Ezra should have been canceled, or at least called to reflect on his ability to name that character Click Clack.
I'm gonna agree, but just because I don't want to see, I don't care about the click clack stuff at all. I have no idea what is or is not okay there.
Stop saying click clack, man. Stop saying it so much.
No, listen, I had a friend named Click Clack once in high school. I'm good. He said I could say it. He said I could say it back then, so I think I'm fine. Listen, I'm not gonna cancel him for that, but I'm gonna cancel him because he's Ezra. So I'm gonna jump on and Roger you. What do you think, Christian?
I don't know. My feathers aren't ruffled, but I don't know. Now I don't want to be called Click Clack, so maybe it is a slur. So
Yeah, some random
yeah.
street somewhere.
So sure.
Roger, baby.
Yeah.
It's trivia time. Hit it.
This is the way to trivia time!
I really missed that animation.
I know, I was laughing too on this, watching it play out again.
Wow. All right, Amanda, you've got the trivia question of the day. Let's hear it.
Yes. So, if anyone's watching the feed right now, you'll see that I broke part of my hand this past week. So, in honor of that, I wanted to see, Brody and Christian, do you know how many canon hand or arm amputations happen across the 9 main Skywalker saga live action films? And we'll do prices right. So if you can guess it without going over, whoever's closest. I mean, if you get it right, then you're correct. But whoever's more close.
All right. Let's do some work together here. Let's say we got
Great question.
and yep, great question. No one lost an arm in Phantom Menace, not that I can recall. You got episode 2, Hayden loses an arm. Episode 3, he loses another arm, but not legs. You said arms or any sort of amputation?
Just arms or hands.
All right, so it's Hayden both times. Anakin, poor guy.
Mace Windu loses a hand.
Yep, episode 3.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yep, Revenge of the Sith. A New Hope, we got that guy at the bar. We've got, I don't know anybody else. Episode, and these are just people, or can we include the creature on Hoth?
Let's just do people.
Okay, so leave Hoth off. Luke loses an arm or hand.
Luke does.
Episode 7, Vader loses it. Man, it's just Vader. Anakin is just not good with limbs.
That's, you counted 3 for Vader?
Yeah, because doesn't he lose one? No, he doesn't. Yeah, he loses one in Return of the Jedi, doesn't he? Or is it?
Well, if that counts, I mean, it's
I'll count that.
mechanical, so are we counting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I count it. Yeah, he doesn't protect those very well. Wow. I mean, he might not lose one in Return of the Jedi. I might just be blanking on this.
Does
I don't think he loses one in Return of the Jedi now. that I
kind of
say it.
blazed through the prequels pretty quick. I was trying to figure out if there was anyone else. Like, did Mace Windu cut off any of Jango Fett's?
So they say that, yeah. A lot of them say he cut his hands off and then his head.
Like both hands?
Yeah, but it's like, did that actually happen? I don't think so.
Yeah.
But there are other cuts where they show that happened.
Oh, Revenge of the Sith. Anakin cuts off both of Dooku's hands.
But it's one person, or are we counting limbs or people?
Limbs.
Oh gosh, I wasn't counting. Yeah.
The digits are up.
All right,
No pun intended.
I am gonna say 11.
Yeah, I'll go with 12.
12. Amanda.
It is 11.
Oh!
The source that I'm looking at does include the Wampa from Empire Strikes Back, but I specifically said humanoids. So 12 would be correct if we can include the Wampa. So you both kind of win.
Wow.
job.
What a cool.
Look at
Yeah,
us.
look at us.
Look
Great
at
guys.
One that you didn't
Great
bring
guys.
up was Zam from Attack of the Clones.
Oh, yes.
The guy with the
Mm.
death sticks.
Yes.
Isn't that sticks? You don't want to sell me the sticks. I want to go home.
Chip, but they used a decoy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, this was a ton of fun. We are probably next month. We are going to be scheduling the live recording for sometime, probably in September, y'all. So be on the lookout. Subscribe to the channel. You'll get a notification for our next live scheduled session for season 4, the finale of Rebels. And I hope you don't miss us too much. We're slowly but surely reigniting the flames, the engines, the furnace, getting Duel of the Ranks back up and running. You can see yet again, we're in a new home. We're always in a new spot. Things have been changing the last few years as all of us have been going through different life phases. But I think things have been settling down. Things are good, and we're ready to get back to Duel of the Ranks. So hopefully you didn't miss us too much, but I think we're gonna be back a little bit more often, folks. So any final thoughts, Christian or Amanda, before
No?
we sign off?
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you all. Thank you so much for listening to Duel of the Ranks. If you want to check more info out about us, well, go check out the YouTube channel. We got a whole bunch of great content there, a lot of links and important stuff that we put out on the YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe to that. So we're going to put in all of our updates. And otherwise, we will see you next time, next month on Duel of the Ranks. See you later.